the band was in an interesting situation because you put out the last album, Dig Your Roots, the Friday before lockdown began. And that derailed everything. What was it like to have the album come out? Like, was there any warning, like, listen, you could stick with this date or things might be taking a turn?
Honestly, we were already on tour at that point. Normally, like January and February, we tend to write because we're on East Coast, so it's winter and it's kind of always a possibility of getting a show canceled if you book a show. So we usually tend to write in January, February, and hit the road in spring and fall, some summer shows in between. But with Dig Your Roots, we knew it was coming out in March. We knew when the singles were releasing in January, and the first single released in the fall. So the fall before in 19. So we'd already like scheduled to start touring in February. You know, we started doing like 3-day, weekend tours, and into the first week in March, we had a full-fledged tour West Coast. We had heard a few things before we left for West Coast tour, which was the first week in March. We went out there till we came home the 14th. So we do, LA south to north usually, just California usually. And then we did Vegas that time. We had a release show in Vegas on the night Dig Your Roots came out, which was Friday, March 13th of 2020. That day, most things closed on the West Coast. So we had played the weekend before in LA to packed clubs. That Tuesday before, they had already said, the CDC had said it's a pandemic. But we wanted to finish our tour. Like either way, we thought our tour was going to stay on through April, which was the plan. So on our way to Vegas, I remember it was raining and I remember thinking like getting a lot of texts like, when are you coming home? When are you coming home? When are you coming home? And it's like, we're not coming home. We have a tour. Like, why would you ask me when I'm coming? I was getting annoyed. And then we did the show. I remember the morning it released, Friday, March 13th. I remember being just in despair because we had spent all like 2 years writing and then recording an album that meant everything to us. And the big news of the day had nothing to do with our album. The big news of the day was there's a pandemic. You know what I mean?
Right.
I was angry. I didn't know what it meant at that point. I just was angry. I felt like robbed a bit. And I thought, what's going to happen to the record? And then I decided not to look at any social media. And I said, in the morning, I'm going to get up and I'm just going to be proud of this record. Whatever happens with it, take it a day at a time. I'm proud of what we did. We had a big show that night in Vegas. A lot of people were there. Then the next night, or the next day, we took a flight to San Francisco to play 2 nights in a row. The first show was canceled. And then the second show we did, but then the band's canceled. So we were the only band. We just did 2 sets and we filmed it because we were like, we don't know what's going on. We don't know if we're going to end up playing our full tour.
Sure.
We didn't know if it was happening West Coast. So when we came home, they were like, the first thing I got was we're not having a release show because of the pandemic. We're shutting everything down. So then we knew the tour was off. So then we immediately started doing live streams from our rehearsal room. And I feel like it was ideal looking back. Like it didn't feel good when it happened, but what it did for me and for the band was it forced us to keep promoting that record. I wasn't going to let the record die.
Yeah,
I
sure.
was invested in the record. I was invested in the songs. So it gave me something to stay connected with. So we did weekly Q&As on Facebook. Then we started doing, more live streams. Then clubs started opening and having people do live streams from their venues for Save the Stages. So we started doing that, but we never stopped. And we actually built a lot of new relationships during that time because we had the record and because it was a pandemic. So it ended up being what it was supposed to be. I always say that, but I don't mean the pandemic part, but the record did well.
You had to kind of create this life. Normally it's a typical album release and tour cycle to support the album, which was disrupted on every level in 2020. Yeah. So now it's okay. Now we need to reevaluate. Now we need to figure out another way to put ourselves out there and even just stay connected just as a band, as people, and then also to connect with an audience. You have to kind of get creative with what it is you're going to do. Like with the One and Done, you guys are playing a lot of covers. You do a lot of things to engage with fans. I mean, frankly, that's how I found the band. I found the band through I suppose it was January when TightLip came out. I think I heard this, which is so funny. People complain about the algorithms, but YouTube actually recommended TightLip to me, and that's how I found the band. It was total luck. When it works, hopefully it gives you, gems like TightLip.
Everything we did during that time, like, to be honest, to even go back to the one and dones that you were talking about, I would never release before that something that was produced or not. I really wanted it to sound a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
The only way me and my co-writer could really get together was via Zoom. So he would record things, send it to me, and I'd sing to it. And then we'd put it together as if we were doing it at the same time. Part of it was just, we needed to stay creative, aside from, and we thought, why not show people all our flaws now instead of, just do something, say one and done. We're going to do it. We're going to run it maybe once and then we're going to put it out. You wouldn't do that normally. If you wanted it to be a certain way, but as an artist, you're just like, why don't we just be who we are and show the world what that looks like, or show whoever's interested what that really looks like. So all of it kind of came out of this, need for us to stay creative, us to stay engaged with the people who, love us or love the music. And a lot of the ideas came from our fans and our friends. But it was a lifeline for me, for sure. I could very easily fall on a couch and watch Netflix 24/7. And that's not a good ZouZou if she does that. I mean, it's a very film conscious ZouZou, but it's isolating for me. And it's very, it's not somewhere, I'm not very good with that. My brain isn't good with that. It starts telling me, what are you doing? You know what I mean? So it was definitely a lifeline. Music's been a lifeline, but that during quarantine, it really was.